have a look at this screen grab from the website of an outfit called the Sustainable Markets Initiative. I've highlighted the bit that is relevant to us here in Australia. It says the SMI's COP27 activity started on Friday, 4th of November, at a reception hosted by His Majesty King Charles III, who convened the Sustainable Market Initiative's Coalition of the Willing, alongside NGOs, the United Kingdom Prime Minister and G20 government ambassadors and high commissioners. In case you didn't know, the Sustainable Markets Initiative was created by Charles when he was the Prince of Wales, gallivanting from one elitist conference to another, talking about ways you and I need to stop travelling, consuming and eating food. Here is a clip from a video he shot for the SMI.
We've forgotten sometimes, I think, that we are part of nature. So what we do to the world around us, we are doing totally to ourselves. We can't go on, I think, equivocating on this and just expect us to test the world ultimately to destruction before you can prove that you have destroyed it. It is climate change. That's pointless to me. There is life after apparent death from the current conventional approach.
The fact that you and I might disagree with that climate catastrophism wasn't a constitutional crisis when Charles was just the Prince of Wales. But we all know what has happened since that video was recorded.
My life will of course change as I take up my new responsibilities. It will no longer be possible for me to give so much of my time and energies to the charities and issues for which I care so deeply. But I know this important work will go on in the trusted hands of others.
That's right. Charles is now king and he has discarded his political obsessions. Or has he? Apparently not. The above screen grab, revealing that he convened a meeting of fellow climate catastrophists and carpetbaggers, is evidence that he remains very politically active indeed. Even more intriguingly, the meeting was attended by new Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who is a fully signed up member of the climate cult. You will recall that one of the few achievements by Liz Truss, Sunak's predecessor as Prime Minister, in her 45 days in office, was to advise Charles not to go to COP27. He reluctantly heeded her advice, but also called the semi-official meeting for November 4, 2 days before the conference began in Egypt. Essentially, he got a few of his mates to take a detour to Buckingham Palace in their private jets on their way to Egypt. Sunak himself told COP27 a few days after his meeting with King Charles, quote,
"When Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II addressed COP26 last year, she reflected how history has shown that when nations come together in common cause, there is always room for hope."
Appropriating the Queen's memory at a time like that was a bit crass, in my opinion. Nevertheless, it was confirmation, if anyone needed, that the monarchy is now in the climate change business. And just put yourself in Charles's monogrammed slippers as he shuffled around the palace this week, wishing he was with all his pals at COP27 in Egypt. The meetings his own Sustainable Markets Initiative hosted alone would have had him quivering with excitement. They talked about a pocket guide for sustainable aviation fuel. They issued a white paper about decarbonising the built environment. And they published a framework to provide independent transition assessment to mobilise capital into transitioning companies and accelerating global progress to net zero. Honestly, how did Charles hold himself back from such scintillating discussions? But the relevance to us is, what does it mean for the monarchy in Australia? The irony is uncomfortable for both sides of this debate. Would you rather be a monarchist who was appalled by finding the king is a green zealot, Or a Republican who thinks old mate Charles isn't such a bad bloke after all. I'm not sure how I feel about it at all, to be honest.